In the Ukraine, first of all, we have got the Minsk II Accords, and these have emerged now at the end of last week, and the ceasefire is largely holding over the vast majority of the fighting front. The shooting has calmed down. There are some sectors where not one violation is reported by the OSCE people. However, there is the demagogy of the fascists in Kiev, and this is the main problem. We've got this guy Yarosh, the head of Right Sector. He's a top fascist leader, and he has announced that he will not be bound. And, of course, this means that the units of the Ukraine National Guard, which are loyal to Right Sector, right, be they loyal to Yarosh, I'm sure Tchanibok will not be far behind, and the rest of these neo-Nazis, essentially, they are all saying that their units will fight on. So where does that leave us? Naturally, we had last week Jen Psaki coming up with this amazing formulation that the United States will punish violations of the Minsk II Accords, but only if they come from the pro-Russian side, not if they come from the Ukrainian fascist side. And the astounding news of today is that this redheaded version of Dr. Goebbels, Jen Psaki, is now going to go to the White House as communications director. Well, at least communications director tends to be a largely behind-the-scenes role. This is not White House spokesman, not State Department spokesman. So maybe she's being promoted upstairs to get her out of the public eye because she has done untold damage to the United States. We're now told that the Georgian, that means the country Georgia, right, Gruzinia, the Georgian tin pot fascist Mikhail Saakashvili, the architect of the 2008 August war, when with his toy army he attacked the overwhelmingly superior Russian forces and hoped to drag the United States into a war. He was ready to fight to the last American, as these people always were and are. Saakashvili is now the key advisor to Poroshenko in Kiev. And today we've got the anniversary, right? This is the 20th of February. It's now the anniversary of that horrible, that version of the inferno, right? That horrible night with the vast bonfires raging in downtown Kiev, this hell on earth, right, visited, and then hell and night have brought a monstrous birth to light. Remember that the three Western foreign ministers, including France and Germany, Steinmeier was there, they signed a deal, a modus vivendi, some kind of a way for the forces to coexist, and that was then overturned within less than 24 hours with a fascist coup led by these people, right? Turchinov and also the Yatsenyuk, who's still in power. So they're all there. And now this is the anniversary. So we're having essentially a gigantic Horst Wessel anniversary. Look up Horst Wessel, Wessel. That was the famous song of the brown shirts back in Germany in the 1930s. And Horst Wessel was somebody who got himself killed street fighting, just like the Heavenly Hundred, we're told. We obviously regret human losses, but the political clarity is that these people were essentially fighting for this coup, which we have just characterized. And we noticed, despite the attempts to hide it by the Western networks, there is a very feeble rally round Poroshenko reaction at this point. The rally round is very muted, and there were boos and whistles and calls of shame when Poroshenko appeared at this Horst Wessel rally exactly 1 year after that night of hell on earth with the bonfires, leading then into the coup, and the actual anniversary of the coup is tomorrow. you'd have to ask yourself, if you were the French or German foreign minister, why would anybody ever negotiate with you after your lying duplicity in that 20th to 21st time frame of last year? So, Yarosh, the right sector, are very much calling the tune. And remember now that we can expect tremendous instability inside Ukraine, because the veterans now of that pocket, the people who were caught in the pocket around Debaltseva, they're coming out angry. And they say, and they're right, the order to get out of there should have been given months ago, weeks ago or months ago. Get out of the pocket. It's very much like Hitler vis-a-vis the Stalingrad encirclement. Remember, von Paulus, the commander on the scene of the German army there in Stalingrad, said, look, we have to retreat. And Hitler said no, promoted him to field marshal, trying to tell him that no field marshal had ever surrendered. Hitler wanted everybody killed. And that seems to be Poroshenko's position, right? Last week at Minsk 2, Poroshenko was told by Putin, and everybody knew it, your forces are encircled, and we should include in the negotiation of Minsk 2 a procedure for disarming them and letting them exit the pocket. There's no reason for them to die. They should go home. But they leave the weapons behind because, after all, they're trapped. And Putin pointed out that if you didn't have that provision built into the agreement, the soldiers inside the pocket would still fight to get out, and their confreres outside the pocket would try to fight their way in. Well, that failed, and the resistance has largely collapsed, although quite a few people are still in that pocket. So the people coming out say, Poroshenko, you're a demagogue. You valued your short-term, extremely short-term popularity over the idea of saving these people. And what has been destroyed here is that's the real main force unit of the Ukrainian army. The one combat-capable part of the Ukrainian army has now been wiped out. So this is, as somebody was saying, this is Dunkirk in addition to Stalingrad. In other words, it's Stalingrad, but where some people are allowed to get out, right, thanks to the humanitarian policies of the rebels in this case, right? A lot of them are allowed to leave unarmed. Some of them got out with arms, but a lot of them have been allowed to leave unarmed, disarmed. And those people are now mad as hell at Poroshenko for leaving them there with no supplies, no orders. The officers ran away. Ukraine is a military disaster. It's a failed state. And the United States, it would be insane to lash yourself to that rotting carcass, Ukrainian failed state. Back to them. Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, 20th of February 2015. People in the New York City area who want to do something for Reverend Pinckney, you can protest Whirlpool and their racist company town of Benton Harbor, majority black, but racist ruled. And that's all thanks to Congressman Fred Upton, Republican congressman, the family that owns Whirlpool, and the, what can we call her? The tubby temptress Kate Upton, right, who gets herself plastered all over the front page of all kinds of dubious publications. So here we go. On Saturday, February 21st, go to the Best Buy store, 60 West 23rd Street, near 6th Avenue. And there are going to be protesters out there. You'll find them telling you, don't buy Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, KitchenAid. That's all Whirlpool. And get Pinckney out of jail, right? Boycott those appliances unless and until Reverend Pinckney is freed and cleared of all charges. So this is from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock. Once again, Best Buy, 60 West 23rd Street near 6th Avenue, New York City. And have some fun, right? Get out there and stick it to those fascists in the southwest corner of Michigan. Now, getting back to it, the veterans now of the Debaltseva pocket want a coup. They want Poroshenko out. Some of them have reasonable views. Others, unfortunately, as disgruntled, betrayed war veterans, right, stabbed in the back as they were, I guess, they're going to go to the fascist side. So that's what it is. On the Russian side, let us remember and also honor the fact that the Russian Day of the Armed Services, right, I guess, Dien Вооруженных Сил, is going to be held next Tuesday, February 23rd. This is a good time, as January 27th was. Say thank you to the Soviet forces for what they did to free the world of Nazism, because in terms of the losses, they absolutely bore the brunt of this. So we have a gala reception in the Kremlin, which has been held on the 20th. Looking forward to the holiday on the 23rd. Putin congratulated veterans and servicemen, and he points to the upcoming celebration May 9th, the 70th anniversary of the victory over Nazism, a sacred day for Russia. It was the Russian Soviet people and the Soviet army that made the decisive contribution to fighting Nazism. And that is, as a historian, that is simply the fact. And he mentions Stalingrad, Kursk, Warsaw, Leningrad, Budapest, Berlin, the defense of Moscow, and others. And, of course, Stalingrad in the middle of it all. And then we're brought then up to date. No one, says Putin, no one should harbor any illusions about the possibility of achieving military supremacy over Russia, or to use pressure against Russia in any way or form. Russia will always have an adequate response to any such reckless actions. So a tough, dignified speech by Putin. Anybody who picks a fight with this is simply insane. And why? For what possible reason? It's a glacis, it's an avenue of approach to Russia. We know the points, right? The Crimea is a warm water port, big theme in Russian history. The fear of invasion, Sweden, Napoleon, Hitler, therefore all coming through these areas. They want those governments friendly, therefore Finlandization, therefore Austrianization. And as he says, that Nazism is a direct threat to Russia. So anybody pushing neo-Nazi ideology is going to be going to be regarded with grave suspicion and hostility by Russia. And of course, we're told about this Maidan. Well, I've got some pictures here. You go to my website, you can see them. The headquarters of Maidan had a picture of whom? Of Stepan Bandera, the Nazi leader of the Ukraine. Come on. This is absolutely crazy. Now, there are some websites that now claim they're telling you something new by saying, oh, the Western puppets are starting to lose the battle of Ukraine. Well, you can find that. You can go back 2 or 3 weeks on my website and find out all about the Debaltseva pocket, right? It's not new today. February 7th, so 2 weeks ago, we had it already, the Debaltseva and Vuhledorsk pocket. So factor that all in. Now, Ukraine is a failed state. They have just had this humiliating defeat. Their army is gone. That's it. They've got some rabble in arms now, but the main units have been trapped in the pocket. Poroshenko could have pulled them out. He didn't do it. The currency has collapsed, right, the hryvnia, and we're going to get a 300% increase in the price of natural gas as part of the IMF conditionalities packet. Now, this place is going to blow up. It's going to be chaos. Don't send military forces in there. Get out of there. And it's also time to put the bridle on some of these people. Tusk, we call him the elephant in the room, right? Donald Tusk, the head of the president of the European Commission, says it's time to exert pressure on the rebels to make them respect Minsk too. And again, we'd have to say, what about your fascist buddies der Tusk, and this is getting to be widely known. ARD means the first program of the German television, right? Arbeitsgemeinschaft der Rundfunkanstalten Deutschlands, ARD, German first program. So they have a talk show. They have the Ukrainian ambassador on there, and a talk show participant says, do you know who's fighting for you? Those are those National Guard brigades with the runes of the SS, right? Those sort of lightning bolt SS things, and swastikas, Hakenkreuzer, openly displayed. And he says, oh, of course, we know, but they fight for us. They're under our control. Now, where may we go next? Again, this situation is going to take a while before it comes to a halt. The city of Mariupol, this is a key place for dominating the where the Don, right, the Russian River Don, goes into the Sea of Azov, and then of course through that Strait of Kerch into the Black Sea. And it's very likely that the Russian side and Mariupol will explain why the interest in it is big. Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Just looking at that city of Mariupol, what is the great Russian concern about this? It's important because if you put a NATO base or anybody's hostile base in Mariupol, you're essentially dominating the point where the Don River flows into the Sea of Azov, and then after that you can get into the Black Sea, and then you can go through the Straits, the Bosporus and the Dardanelles, and then you're in the Aegean and you're in the Mediterranean. So Mariupol is very important. Got to also remember, this is an international question. If you're one of the countries that has a coast on the Caspian Sea, take a look at this. You have to remember that the Volga goes into the Caspian Sea, but if you're Iran, let's say, or other countries, right? Azerbaijan is there, and others. The whole series of countries that have coasts on the Caspian Sea. Their access to the world is by going up the Volga, and then across the Volga-Don Canal, and then out through Rostov-on-Don, and then Mariupol, and then once again, Sea of Azov, Black Sea, Aegean, Mediterranean, and then you're in the world ocean, the Atlantic, or the other way, Arabian Sea. So look at this now, huh? This is a very important point, and it's likely that the Russians are going to want it. So brace yourself for the idea that you cannot have a bunch of Ukrainian fascists with missile launchers interfering with ships. And again, it's something where quite a number of Caspian Sea facing countries would be involved. So on the German first program, you can see the Ukrainian ambassador confronted with the Nazi regalia of his own forces. And what do we get? Here this morning we had, on the Diane Rehm show, we had Ignatius, David Ignatius of the Washington Post, and he says, well, the Russian cynicism is total. I'm sorry, David. You have to remember, Minsk I was broken up by these fascists and their insistence on constantly shelling the pro-Russian positions across the Minsk I ceasefire line. And the Minsk II, the problems that you're seeing were built in when the demagogue Poroshenko said, I refuse to accept that my troops are surrounded, right? Going down the same path as Hitler. Same kind of hysteria. So there we have all that. Now,